Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Jason, and I'm the owner of Sports Osteopaths Australia. Find us on Instagram or Facebook or whatever floats your boat. So we're going to be working through some case studies over the coming weeks, coming months, whenever it is, just so we can get a better understanding of some biomechanics and show some really simple fixes to help people just move more efficiently. So I think this here is my friend Shano. So I've known him for quite a while. He's a trainer, really, really good trainer. And I saw him doing a squat, which is this video on the left on his Facebook profile. And I sort of sent him a message because I was like, yeah, it's not looking quite right. I'll give you some exercises so we can really just, make you a little bit more efficient at the movement. So I guess preface this with some information. It's you'll probably see that he doesn't have the greatest squat, but anyway, we'll just get into it and you can kind of see for yourself. One more. Alrighty, so as we can see, fairly pronounced posterior pelvic rotation, whatever we want to call it. His pelvis drops under like this, and his lumbar, as a result, will flex. I know plenty of people, plenty of keyboard warriors, and lots of people say that posterior pelvic tilt isn't shown in research to be an indicator of injury. And I would say, good on you. I don't really give a fuck. I'm not saying that it does, okay? I'm saying that over my plenty of years within this industry and the thousands and thousands of people that I've seen squat and just generally move, is that people's movement capacity and smoothness of movement and coordination is the biggest indicator to me of injury. So I would say right here, right now, the squat on the left, although most people would say that's probably okay, I don't think that's as optimal as we could have it, okay? So just to preface this too, it's whenever we have an individual doing a particular exercise, like a bilateral exercise, whether it be upper body or lower body, okay, there has to be a certain amount of compression that is going on through the rib cage and through the pelvis, through muscles, because they're contracting either side to stabilize the muscles on either side. So you're going to get almost this squishing together of muscles, okay? We also face the same way, and we don't let our pelvis shift or rotate like it would through gait, hence us sort of being more squished together and compressed, okay? That's why so many people ramble on about saying squats aren't good or blah, 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 bilateral exercises aren't good, is because we get a lot of compression, which doesn't allow our pelvis to be able to move and rotate kind of like it does when we walk and do everyday things. That's neither here nor there, but the biggest implication or thing to keep in mind is that when people have movement restrictions, they will be more exacerbated within bilateral exercises because we then don't have access to other planes, mostly the sagittal and transverse plane. So then, sorry, I should say frontal and transverse plane, okay? Because we're only facing forward. So we only have access to movement options that are either forward or backward. We don't really have side to side, and we don't really have rotation, okay? That is why you'll see so many people have those exacerbated movement compensations, we'll call them, within bilateral exercise. So as we can see at the bottom of Shano's squat on the left, we have a fairly pronounced posterior pelvic rotation. So like we said, I know that's not a really big issue for a lot of people, and I don't care, okay? For me, I want to see the pelvis be able to reach external rotation, okay? Which is going to mean that we can actually reach some form of extension as well, okay, through the pelvis, okay? We should be able to tip forward more so in the bottom of the squat, which he can't do. All right, so when we can't reach our external rotation of this pelvis, of both of these ilium, what will actually happen is that people will drop into a posterior pelvic orientation and lumbar flexion, okay, because that's our compensation mechanism to reach external rotation. Okay, so that one more time. Whenever you see someone have a pelvis drop under and their lumbar flexes like a considerable amount, like Shane's is, that will equal, okay, that will mean he is trying to reach external rotation, okay? He's trying to reach external rotation at the bottom of the squat, okay? So, watch a couple more. Okay. So that last rep that we saw there with 2 was also quite a considerable amount shorter than the other ones. That's probably a big indicator to me too that his brain probably isn't feeling safe. So it's looking at trying to limit range of motion in places, okay? So the only fix that I gave him was 2 exercises, okay? So that's 2 exercises. So we'll have a look at it here, okay, right now, and you can kind of see the changes in his movement capacity. Sorry, I'm getting over this flu that has just smashed everyone in Brisbane. Okay, thank you, Captain Obvious, for what you're saying. I know it's not like the complete fix, okay? However, you can see a very big difference in the amount of lumbar flexion that Shane has to get to be able to reach that bottom position. So I will call that a really big win, especially with just like 1 week of doing 2 exercises a couple of times a day. Right. So what's actually happening here is that number one, you can see he's got an extra 10 kilos on there. He actually messaged me and told me that he didn't really have any lower back aggravation occur. Okay. So he was able to move up. That's the first really big sign that we've done something for the brain in allowing it to reach a different sort of like position that hasn't before for it to then feel safe. So it doesn't have to experience pain and kind of like ramp up the pain messages. Okay. Super big win there. What we can also see is that he's able to reach further down. Okay. And there's a lot less, okay, like I said, of that exaggerated posterior rotation. I know there's still a little bit, but within 1 week, that is a huge amount of change. Okay. So Shane has had a very long history of like lower back issues. Okay. And so he has told me numerous times, and other people too, I'm sure, can attest that he's always felt really terrible in back squats because it's just never felt right for him. He's always felt super jammed, and I can get that. All right. That just means that we haven't been able to load share over the different segments and mostly over the legs because he's just been so compressed through his rib cage. Okay. The 2 exercises that I gave Shane to be able to do for him to help reach that kind of like that position again, that externally rotated position, all right, was number 1 was a back bend or like a Mackenzie sit-up, okay? And then number 2 was supine oblique rotations. So the reason that he felt good with those is number 1, because I was able to help re-extend, okay, his lumbar, okay? Yep. Help re-extend his lumbar, push the pelvis forward, okay? But then number 2, with the obliques, okay? Obliques actually help inhibit this rectus abdominis, okay? The rectus abdominis on the left side is working even harder in overdrive because it's trying to stabilize the pelvis, and it will end up dropping the pelvis underneath into that lumbar flexion, okay? When I get the external obliques to jack up a little bit and start, being a little bit more efficient, that means that I can actually get my pelvis to tilt forward because that's one of their actions is to do that, okay? As soon as I can get a pelvis that can tilt forward, then we also have the opportunity to be able to open up rotation through the rib cage again, because if we think about a rib cage and a pelvis, as soon as my pelvis does this, then my rib cage can open up and then I can start to rotate again. Rib cages do not rotate very well when they're down, okay? So they're kind of like stuck. I shouldn't say stuck, but they're down, so they struggle to rotate. So as soon as my pelvis can get forward, I can open that up and I then have more external rotation ability again through my ribs, okay? So giving him those 2 exercises has helped massively in him being able to re-extend his pelvis. Okay, I should say re-extend his lumbar, which is important, okay? But then also get his ribs to be able to rotate on one another, and helping the pelvis move forward in this plane helps disassociation in the sagittal. But then him being able to rotate his rib cage with the oblique rotations allows his rib cage and his pelvis to disassociate a little bit, which is the second, I would probably say the first biggest thing that we really need to focus on when people have these like dropping under of the pelvis, okay, or the lumbar flexion within a squat. Okay, so like I said, keep in mind people's positions and compensations are going to be way more drastic within like bilateral exercise. Like I said, any upper or lower body exercise. Okay, so the idea is that we use single leg stuff and like rotation work to be able to give people better access to positions, so then their compensations are less exaggerated within bilateral work. Okay, hope that helped. Little run through of kind of like the stuff that we do over here and kind of like how we look at things. So if you're struggling with any of these issues yourself, feel free to send us a message at Sports Osteos Oz on Instagram. We also have Return to Play Oz on Instagram, which is our training segment of like the training arm of Sports Osteos Oz. Or if you would like to send me a message on Instagram, my name is Jason Burgess. Otherwise, feel free to send me an email at jason@sportsosteos.com.au. Hope you have a great day.